Hello everyone. Today we're going to be talking about Core DP Thief. I get a lot of questions on my streams regarding if this is like a meme build. A lot of questions are also similar to like why do you play DP over Pistol Whip, or what games do you prefer Pistol Whip over DP? So the reason why I've been starting to play DP more, especially Core, I cannot get away with playing Daredevil and Swipe. Swipe is Swipe and Dagger Pistol just doesn't work together. At least for me, I just cannot get over 600 range steals. It kills the whole idea behind DP, where you want to spike far away. There's so many times where I've been playing Daredevil, and I'm like, okay, look, that guy is like 10% HP, and then he just runs away because I swipe P600 range. I just can't steal, you know. So with Core Thief, we finally get back steal, which is 1.2k range. It doesn't matter if it's we don't have the unblockable part from swipe. It's not that necessary for DP. Uh, if you really feel like you're missing out on unblockable, you can drop Dagger Storm for Massive Venom. But as you can see, I don't even feel the need of going for Massive Venom because I don't see the need of having unblockable steal. It's just that simple. Um, and it's a little bit longer cooldown, but it's such a minor thing that it doesn't matter. The range makes up for it 10 times, for me at least. Um, we can go through the traits. It's pretty basic. We pick Deadly Arts for the damage. A lot of people are like, why not crit strikes? Well, the reason why I pick Deadly Arts over crit strikes is very simple. We 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 don't really need more damage with this build. Like, we can pretty much one shot a lot of classes with this. So we don't really need more damage, which crit strikes could provide, or yes, it wouldn't be a massive boost, but you could do some things like drop Thrill of the Crime for haste because you get more fury uptime. But the traits are pretty straightforward. You pick Mug. Nowadays you pick even the odds. It's one more condi, cover condi, especially if you play with like a Mirage, Duo Q, you just add one more cover condi. And it's actually 5% more damage if they don't cleanse it. And you get might. So it's just a super good trait. Panic Strike, like, honestly, 1.5 second immobilize. How many people can you actually immobilize nowadays? That everyone cleanses or are immune to condis pretty much. Expose weakness, and we pick improv. It's very simple why we pick improv is because this build is very vulnerable because we only run one stun break. So if we have the possibility of resetting Shadow Step, it's massive, you know. But you can also do a very cool trick, or you cannot do a cool trick. But if you're RNG god, so I'll come back to that later. But yeah, and then we pick trickery, which is pretty straightforward. And like, trickery is necessary for every build. And then we go Shadow Arts. We picked the Condi removal trait because we have no other Condi removal in this build except Withdraw. And then we pick the Leeching Venoms. It's pretty much like a minor Mug trait, like Mug like this. You actually do quite a lot of damage with this one and Siphoning, Shadow Siphoning. Like these two together, it's pretty much Mug damage. So you get double the Mug, and then Rending Shade, more boon removal. You don't really need the health regen in stealth. Honestly, this trait to me, a lot of people say, why don't you run this one? To me, this trait is basically saying to yourself that you're gonna stick around in a fight for a very long time, or that you're actually gonna take damage, which makes no sense in a DP build, which is just +1 and spike. So we picked the Rending Shade, which is, I mean, 2 boons more ripping. This one also works similar to Larcener Strike, where you actually remove the whole duration of the buffs of the enemies. So, for example, if an enemy has 25 might stacks and you backstab them, don't use Steel Backstab, because then you will rip the might and you will get 1 stack of might with a very short duration. But if you backstab them normally with this trait, you will actually get the full stack of 25 might. So it pretty much rips the full duration and the amount of stacks if you don't pair it with steel. But sometimes, obviously, we just want to spike, so we do steal backstab. That's pretty much 5 boons we rip from an enemy when we steal backstab, which is pretty crazy if you think about it. Since there's so much boons in the game in general, it's very, very good. And on top of that, the fear comes like when you get spiked, the first thing you think about is not to stun break, right? When you get spiked by a thief, the first thing you think about is dodging or use a mobility skills or something. But if you do get feared, you don't react to getting feared for 1 second. So a lot of people get caught off guard. So if you're really quick, if you see that the fear is applied, you can actually do a Heartseeker in time. You steal backstab, Heartseeker. Since a lot of people take so much damage from steal backstab, especially if you crit, a Heartseeker below 25% HP is pretty much like you can actually one-shot them with a Heartseeker or like finish them off. Then we look at, I mean, we can go sigils actually. Sigils, we pick Rune of the Eagle, very, very easy decision, because since we drop Signet of Agility in pretty much every single DP build nowadays, we kind of need a rune to give back precision. The ferocity obviously helps, and 10% damage on with someone that is below 50% HP. And then we pick exploitation, which is pretty very straightforward. And then we pick Sigil of Compounding. So when we steal on someone, we apply poison, and we apply weakness, and we apply vulnerability. So, and in some scenarios, maybe you have a blind on it, on someone if you do like shadow shot backstab from stealth. That's four condis on a target, which is 4% more damage. You could drop compounding for revocation if you want. Then your steal backstab would pretty much rip 6 boons, which it's pretty okay, but I just prefer the raw damage that we get, since most of the time I either queue with a Mirage, and I play with the Mirage in my team. So we just do this for the extra damage. It's very good when you +1 and like a Weaver or something. Let's say my Mirage is 1v1ing the Weaver, and my Mirage has like 4 condis, and I spike him with steal backstab. That's like 7 condis. So it also has good synergy with the exposed weakness. So we pretty much one-shot an Ellie if we have a good crit. And the utilities we pick is pretty, yeah, it's normal utilities. The only thing that I run differently is Smokescreen compared to most builds that people have seen with Dagger Pistol. But we'll get back to that. I wanted to show you what I meant with improvisation. So when you steal backstab, you always pretty much you stealth up like normally, and before your spike you pop Signet of Assassin Signet, and then you steal backstab. If you're really lucky with your RNG, you can actually proc Assassin Signet recharge from improvisation. That means you have the active part of Assassin Signet, which is 540 power, but you also get the passive one back from the steal. So you get the passive 180 power, which is like it's very RNG, but it's a possibility because your steal is applied before the actual backstab. So you can actually get, if you're really lucky with your RNG proc, you do so much damage. And since this build, as I said already, it's only 1 stun break. So most of the time when I go into a fight, I prefer to have my heal off cooldown. The reason why is because of the stealth part from Shadow Arts. So every time you heal, use your healing skill, you will apply stealth to yourself. So when I withdraw, I get stealth after the withdraw for 3 seconds. That's what I meant with when I go into a fight, I prefer to keep my withdraw before, like off cooldown. So when I spike, since I only run 1 stun break, as I said, I steal backstab. I get, now I have the, obviously now I used it, but so as long as I'm revealed for 3 seconds. So let's pretend that my withdraw was off cooldown here. I try to survive for 3 seconds and then use my heal to be able to re-stealth. So sometimes I greed very much to keep my shadow step off cooldown, just in case I eat a stun. If I eat a stun, I obviously have to shadow step because otherwise I die, since I only run 1 stun break. So we stealth up, we steal backstab, and then we try to survive and now we can heal, and then we get the stealth, and then we run away. Um, that's the basic part of trying to survive with core thief and one stun break. You don't have to run Smokescreen as I do. I just really think this utility is super broken for DP in general. The reason why is because it's a super long smoke field for thief. So we don't really have to use any initiative, because when you play DP thief and you want to stealth up for a long time, you can this is the combo we do, right? We can get 4 Heartseekers in. Now I was too slow, but 4 Heartseekers in. And that's not long. That's not good enough duration of stealth for me to move around the map to confuse the enemies where I am. So my rotations become very visible for the enemy, so they can actually, oh look, the enemy thief is coming. He's gonna +1 me. So I just go to a high ground or a non-port spot, and then my +1 is suddenly failed. And with Smokescreen, which lasts for 7 seconds, and is a big field, we can pretty much stealth. We can get maximum duration of stealth without using our initiative for the 5-2 and get lesser duration. So we stealth up for full duration, and then we can move around the map freely. So we can, and if we pair it with withdraw, we can pretty much get like a solid 20 seconds of stealth. So we stealth up, we use all the initiative, and now we start moving around the map. That's 15 seconds of stealth that I can move around freely. I'll get back all the initiative before I even enter the next fight. And if my stealth is about to go out and I'm still far away from the node, I just do this. I'm still stealthed, so this has been 20 seconds of pretty much stealth that I have been moving around the map, and this also means that I've not shown myself on the map, and the enemies do not know where I am, which is the basic factor of being a DP thief. You want to surprise your enemies, and you want to have your teammates always do a 3-node push, so you have 3 places to outnumber. Second, with Smokescreen as well, is that this ring blocks projectiles, right? So it's pretty good versus, let's say, soul beasts that go Sikkim. So they can actually not go, they cannot shoot through this one, because this one actually destroys missiles, which is pretty good versus any sort of ranged class versus you. It also poses blind constantly, so it's actually pretty obnoxious when you apply it on a node or something, or someone cleaving down, or you're resing someone. So it's pretty much a very, very solid utility that I prefer. It's such a short cooldown as well. It's like 25 seconds cooldown to just get so much value from this. If you do prefer to have a second stun break, obviously Blinding Powder is the way to go, because you get the stealth, and since you run Shadow Arts, you get 1 extra second of stealth. But I just don't like Blinding Powder. It's such a long cooldown. The instant, since it's not instant anymore, it's really bad in my opinion. It's a blast though, so you can pretty much do this. So you can get quite a lot of stealth duration with this as well. But as I said, you still don't get the full duration. You don't get full value. You don't get the 15 seconds of stealth that you can get from Smokescreen, Heartseeker ring in Smokescreen. And since Smokescreen is on such a low cooldown, when you stealth fully and you use withdraw, and then you get the 20 seconds of stealth, then you can do 5-2 a couple of times, and then you regen your initiative. You pretty much have it off cooldown again. So you can, as long as you spike in a +1, you kill, then you can pretty much use it again, and then you just keep rotating like that. So you're pretty much constantly in stealth. The only time you're vulnerable is with your spike, and that's why I say that you should try to keep either your shadow step or your withdraw off cooldown every time. If you have both on cooldown and you go into a fight, you're very, very like one look at you and they CC you, you're dead, or they focus you when you reveal and you don't have withdraw, you're pretty much dead. If you're lucky, sometimes you can maybe get off Smokescreen if it's off cooldown and survive, but it's super risky. Since if they actually stand in the Smokescreen and you Heartseeker into it, you might actually do damage to them, and then you get revealed and then you die. So yeah, if you guys have any questions regarding the build or any other like, oh yeah, can I run this and that, just feel free to ask me, and I'll try to answer in the comments. Have a good day.